I was told to speak right into this, so I'm gonna try. I'll just pick it up. Thank you so much for the opportunity to work here in Hampstead. The committee that has been assembled has been just great to work with, and we've really enjoyed all of the connections and community that we have here. So I'm going to walk you through the process. I want you to understand what we found. You get to see some pictures. It makes it a little bit more real. So what you see on the first slide here is what the front entry of Hampstead Central School looks like, and to the right of that is the image of what could be built. So the process, how did we get here? We started with some old facilities reports. I listed them back to 2010. This earlier process actually started in 2005. So there was a lot of information that had already started. Then we did our own facilities report. That's standard. We bring in our mechanical, electrical, plumbing engineers, and we assess the conditions on the site. Next, we had a community outreach, which brought forth a lot of great ideas and great needs and great desires for the community. We met weekly or bi-weekly with the steering committee, and then this fall we were able to, and into this winter, we were able to finalize the conceptual design. So I'm going to walk you through the way the concerns came up. We categorize these concerns and opportunities. They're not just all bad. There's a lot of great things that can happen, and they fall into these categories. Number one is safety and security. Number two is code upgrades. Number three is building efficiency. And number four was our program items. How we, what was needed, classrooms that were needed, how that all was developed and put together. So on that first point, safety and security. We looked initially at and heard a lot about we want the school to be safe. And usually that means a controlled access. So at the front entrance, currently there's not a person that is at the front door to greet anybody that visits the school. And it's a concern because all we have are cameras. A person is buzzed in, but they could gain access very easily to the school. Maybe somebody else is walking by and they unintentionally let somebody else in. So it's being able to have access to the school that is in a little bit more controlled. That was one of the first points. Also, the internal access to the gymnasium. Again, on safety and security access to the portable classrooms, there's a transition that has to be made across a driveway to even get to the portable classrooms. So it's you could slip on the ice. There are other more major concerns where the kids are leaving school. Maybe a child is in the portable classrooms and they have to go to the bathroom, and how do you transition them back to where a bathroom is? So that was one of the items that came up. And of course there were no restrooms in the portables. Also, there are no fire sprinklers currently in the school, and this group has made a commitment to say, okay, we really want the school to be safe. We want to bring it up to standards of what is the standard of today. Maybe 20, 30 years ago, you didn't have to put fire sprinklers in a building, in a school. Today, you do, and I admire that commitment. On code upgrades, which fire sprinklers kind of blend between those two. Code upgrades, we have the handicap accessibility issues that getting to the portable classrooms. We have some non-compliant handrails in the 40s and 80s wing, and there's also one non-compliant stair in terms of access up and down that. Also for code upgrades, we have more restrooms that are required for the gymnasium. and there are more restrooms that are required for the upper level. As we get more students on the upper level of the school, the restrooms are required, and that's without building any new. That's just where the standards are today. And of course, drinking fountains are another category. There are some known structural issues in the building. This is in the current library. It's a marriage between an 80s wing and a 60s or the 40s wing, and it's been monitored over time. It still continues to move. It's one of the items that needs to be addressed and would be addressed in a bond issue. Also, classroom doors need automatic closers and ratings, because there's a number of locations where there isn't the correct fire separation, which would be covered by fire sprinklers, but if in the current scenario there would be some fire stopping that needs to occur there. Building efficiency, this is our third category. The 60s wing it's hard to imagine. You'll see in the next slide that an uninsulated masonry building exists in this climate, both from the hot and the cold, but that's what we have. The roof needs to be replaced. The windows also fall in line with that. They're very energy inefficient. The heating and ventilation needs some upgrades, and fresh air is able to be pulled into the building from cars that are waiting at the drop-off loop. So here's the slide. I had one of the maintenance gentlemen, Christos Koufos. He went over and measured the temperature, surface temperature of the exterior wall from the inside, because we had heard stories about how a teacher would set a glass of water on the windowsill and it would freeze overnight. So we tested the theory during this cold weather, and you probably can't read it on this slide, but this interior surface temperature measures 17 degrees when it was 10 degrees outside. So you can imagine how much cold air and conversely hot air comes into the building. It's you get a lot of drafts off those cold walls and cold windows. So it was kind of a fun little test. I wanted to throw that in. Again, on building efficiency, there are mechanical and circulating pumps and other unit ventilators that need to be upgraded. The portable classrooms that are currently being used are very expensive to run for both heating and cooling. We ran some numbers on that, and I'll try and share that a little bit later. Also, there's some congestion in the hallways, and they're undersized. Some of these things we can't do a lot about today, but we can help relieve that circulation in other ways. Once we get into the program area, we start looking at what does the state require for kids or students per classroom. And we wanted to get to that standard, because that then sets up how many square feet you need per classroom. And most of the classrooms, you'll be happy to know, meet the standard. But there are 3 classrooms that do not, and they're in the old 40s wing. And they are well below the 900 square feet required. So those 3 classrooms the teachers can attest that they're very difficult to use. Current enrollment is at 470 students, and we got a lot of the data that gives the projections of the school as it grows. It will be growing, and it'll by 2021 will reach 500 students. So we need to figure out how to account for where those students can be taught. So the policy maximums that were established, the school administrators have been working diligently. Currently there are essentially 4 classes per grade. And to meet the needs of the future, they have established that 5 classrooms per grade are required, or are going to be needed for 1st through 4th grade. Kindergarten can remain at 4 classes, preschool can remain at 2 classes. But there's also these other numbers of 15 students per classroom for kindergarten, 18 students for 1st through 4th. I don't quite have that one right. We can get up to 20. Again, in the program area, the administration needs to have access at the main entry. They need a little bit more room. There's the desire to make this move a district-wide solution. Currently, the special education, district special education is housed in the school. There's an opportunity to bring district IT in and bring district maintenance, which are also currently over here in portable classrooms. Another program item was to go ahead and eliminate those portable classrooms because they are aging. They don't meet the needs today, and they're really expensive to use. And that would also set up an opportunity for the music program to move back into the school. They've been housed in the portable classroom for a while. The library is an opportunity to be able to have school functions and to let the public use it, not only to be able to improve the library, which is central to the learning community. Also, we can allow the full use of the gymnasium. Currently, they're not able to have enough classes taught in the gymnasium so that all of the students can have 2 dedicated classes per week there. And if you've been in there recently, the partition stays primarily closed all the time. That also allows, if that partition doesn't have to be closed, then the public, the community can come in and use that for extracurricular activities as well. When we had our community outreach, the community had a desire to have some kind of a gathering space or a theater space. And so with that in mind, we have designed a cafeteria that would accommodate that. I guess that's what we looked at. You'll see what we came up with as we move along here. But a cafeteria was an opportunity to double function so that it can be used during the day and it can also be used in the evening. There is a need to reorganize classrooms, to cluster the grades together, to utilize and right size. It's kind of a term that we like to use, is to right size the different spaces. Currently there are some very small instructional spaces being used that historically they were closets, I think, or small storage rooms, and we want to be able to improve that. Again, the mechanical systems and building envelopes, and it goes on, and the improvements really need to be made on not just costs, but on the learning environment. Site improvements, there's a desire to improve the drop-off and pickup areas, so that was another area we looked at. If you can see the loop that was from a previous effort. Did I do that? Oh, maybe I hit that button.
Let's try. Here we go.
All right, we're back on.
There you go.
We all needed a little relief before we get to the conceptual design. So as Ms. Usanka had mentioned, we took on this motto of the 3 R's. We all know the 3 R's of education. The 3 R's of a building program is to repair, renovate, and renew. And repair, we want to take care of any of the problems in the school, maybe their code issues. To renovate, that means we can be able to move different program items around the school without building new space, because there's a lot of clustering that can happen that will improve how the school can be used. And then renew is simply, okay, we're bursting at the seams and we need more room to have the new functions and to be able to accommodate what the community has asked for. So with that in mind, we are recommending that the portable classrooms be removed. That's existing site. If we flip over here, I'm going to just give you a snapshot of what the building could look like and some of the larger program pieces. So a library has been added to the back end, a music room, a cafeteria and community room, and that creates a central courtyard space. And then also at the front of the school, there's a new main entry and administrative area. So here we are at the front entrance. This is the new component. That's new admin and the front entry where you would enter. So you have a small canopy so you can understand where the front entrance is. Do you want it on the other screen? So new cafeteria and community entrance. There was discussion about how does the community actually enter the building after hours. And back in the back of the building we have the new cafeteria, again music room, library, and new classrooms up above it. But the public can either enter the way they currently would, or there's another entrance which is actually great access for the students to be able to get out to the playground, but that's a location that they can get into the school. In the back of the school we have a new drop-off area. The site needs some help, so once the portable classrooms are removed, it creates a lot of space to be able to utilize that in a different way. And you'll see that there's another strong road here. It's not really a road, it's fire access. It's one of those things that we're going to have to work into the plan. But this would be a new skin that we could put on the 60s wing, and then all of these new building components would be in the back. New construction. So I have these slides broken up based on new construction and remodeled spaces. This slide is obviously showing just our new construction. What you see on wrong direction. What you see on the main level here is in the back, we've picked up our library space, some additional bathrooms which were required, or restrooms that were required. Instead of rebuilding the ones that are close to the front entry or to the gymnasium, we can put another one that works for the new part of the school. We have a music room and we have a cafeteria. Then at the front entry we have the administrative area and a new entrance. And so we've concentrated our efforts in terms of new construction in 2 locations. That just helps out with efficiency in building. By doing this, we've improved the safety of the whole site. We've addressed a lot of the code violations or code implications, and we've been trying to work on hitting the programmatic criteria. And some of those are additional classrooms, the cafeteria, library, accessibility to public, new band and choir room, the circulation, site improvements, new energy efficient designs. So those are some of the items that we found in a new design, or in new building components. As we switch over to the remodeled areas, by the time we shift the classes around, we really don't have to do a lot of work to them, but there would be some areas, the structural repairs would be happening in these two locations, and that gives us an opportunity to take what previously was a library space and turn into 2 classrooms. So that's that idea of clustering. So we can get all of the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th grade classrooms on the upper level, and we can have preschool, kindergarten, and 1st grade on the main level. If we look at a summary of where this brings us, I always like to look at, how does this rack up in terms of dollars or effort? The majority of our effort goes toward learning environments. That's our classrooms. That's directly related to what a school is about. We do have some money appropriated for the remodel and code deficiencies. There's the site and infrastructure. There's district-wide solutions. Remember, we were working on a way to bring district offices into the school. And then the other, the other safety and security concerns, which encompasses some of the fire sprinklers. I'm going to just walk you through a couple of the key items that this plan outlines. Initially, as we walked around the school, it's kind of a long structure like most schools are, and it's difficult to get from one end to the other. And in doing a new effort, we wanted to improve circulation. So now there is this circular path that allows classes to be taken all the way around the school, either direction, so they have less opportunity to interrupt other classes. These are the areas, program areas in the back. We have the cafeteria. Due to the community wanting to use it, we set this up so that you could actually repurpose that room very quickly as a theater, so you could convert the back of that to a stage. We picked up the new restrooms, and library is now a much nicer space, and it can also function as an additional classroom or additional learning spaces. The main entry, this was our safety concern about being able to see what is going on at all locations as people enter the building. So our front person at the administrative area can see out to the street, into the main entry, and any of the activity that's going on behind, which is our circulation to the gymnasium. On the other end of the school, this is in the older 40s wing. We have the district technology and maintenance. We have a space for them that should work really well. They can have an outside entrance, so they don't have to be working there, walking through the entire school to get there. And there's some other renovations I just pointed out here, which is part of that structural issue that we had identified earlier. Again, we have these classrooms. This is on the upper level. There's 2 classrooms. There's circulation. There's a new elevator that's been planned, and stair tower. We've expanded restrooms, added probably not quite a half again more for special education, but picked up a lot of program space, which is one of the areas that was really lagging. And that was that conversion of the library into 2 classrooms. So what are the merits of the building project? We see that this new project is safe and secure at the main entry. It's added the cafeteria, the library, music room for the school and for the community. We have clustered classrooms and improved the circulation. Energy efficiency is achieved to maximize operating costs, and operating costs are something that you have to be thinking about all along. We're now code compliant and fully sprinklered. There's great site access that's been improved, especially to the pickup and drop-off areas. The district offices are consolidated, and it meets the educational standards that have been put forth by the state. Said I'd mention the operating costs, so you don't glaze over too much. The operating costs, just by being able to improve the envelope on the 60s wing, that 17-degree wall, and with the new building standards, with the new components, we're able to bring the square foot price of heating the building down by 10 cents. So it costs, currently it's about 50 cents per square foot per year to pay to heat the school. It would bring it down by to 40 cents a square foot, so you're gaining 10 cents. The important takeaway from that is that currently it costs X dollars to heat the building inefficiently the way it's built today. It would cost, operating costs would be exactly the same, if not better, by adding 16,000 square feet of new instructional space. So your operating costs have not increased. In fact, one model that I ran said that you were saving $10,000 a year in operating costs, and you have a pretty good budget. But to be able to build 16,000 square feet and save money is, in terms of being able to heat and cool it, I think is a great improvement. By the numbers, we are talking about $6.4 million in a construction budget. That includes the site work, all the renovations, the new construction. Soft costs at $750,000. That pays the architecture, engineering fees, project management fees, any furniture, furnishings, additional equipment that would be required. That's the FFE. Any new technology and commissioning, which is to make sure the systems are working properly. Owner's project contingency is at $250,000, just for the things that come up during a construction project, and that gives us a total budget of $7.4 million. I thought it'd be important to have those numbers out there. But what does this mean for somebody in the community? We ran the numbers to see what it would cost anybody that has a home, they're paying their taxes. You want to know what the tax implications are. And just looking at a medium-priced house, which is $200,000, we're just saying if you had a $200,000 home, it's going to cost you less than $10 a month to be able to improve the school. We ran some other numbers which looked at $100,000. If you had a $100,000 home or property, it's what is it? $3, basically $4 a month. And if you have a $400,000 home, it ends up averaging out at just over $15 a month to be able to add it to your taxes.